Hello, and welcome to episode 115 of the Casual Try Hard podcast. I'm Brian.
And I'm James.
And this week, we are going to continue our focus on historic and yet another product where they just went to the top of Wizards of the Coast building, and they only put the instants and sorceries in the box and then threw it off. And whatever was face up is in historic.
Hey, and some of it's stuff that we had just talked about, too, so.
Yeah, we look very smart.
That's kind of cool. Yeah.
So,
I always like looking smart.
Yes.
It's a good look for me.
Yes, it doesn't happen very often for me, so I appreciate it. All right, so if you would like to tweet us what you think Wizards' plan is for historic, you can get us at CasualTryPod.
Yep, you can also hit us up on Facebook at CasualTryHardMTG. You can drop us an email, show@CasualTryHardMTG.com. If you would like to pre-order some of these super-duper mystical archive cards, please use our TCG Player affiliate link, tcg.casualtryhardmtg.com. Anything you purchase after following that link, we'll get a small percentage of to help keep the show rolling. If you want to support us a little bit more directly, you can do so at patreon.com/casualtryhardmtg. And that reminds me, I've got to get the next round of givebacks together. So if you would like to be included in our next round of givebacks, head over to patreon.com/casualtryhardmtg. Once you sign up, I'll send you a message and get your address and all that stuff and add you to the list. But aside from that, patrons get early access to show notes, and they get to listen to us kind of ramble on about whatever's happening while we check our mics and sound levels and all that before the show starts.
Yeah.
They get access to that every week. So I always post it up on Patreon, and you get to check it out. Also, we have our YouTube channel, Casual Try Hard MTG on YouTube. We've been working really hard to get some content on there finally. We had the channel going for a while and had only done hit or miss videos. And the last couple months, we've kind of focused on putting some more content up there to grow the channel some. So head over there and check it out. Make sure you like our videos and subscribe and leave comments and all that jazz. And let us know what you're liking, what you don't like, what you want to see more of, what you want to see less of, and help us make the channel better.
And next week, we should be... The plan is to put a video episode out with the set preview or set review, I guess.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these cards have a lot of text, and us just telling you what they are is not as helpful, I think, as if you can actually go look at the cards. So we're going to try to do... It's going to be low tech. But
we're not as fancy as Juan's videos.
But we're gonna try to get some pictures up there so you can actually see the cards and have it make a little bit more sense.
Yep.
If that's gonna help you
help everybody
listen.
Follow along.
Yeah.
I think the set releases April 20-something.
Yeah.
Is that right?
You can buy the arena bundle till the 15th.
All right.
So
so that means that probably not next week, but the week after, I should have some product to do box openings.
Yeah, I think that there's only 18 days till the Mastery Pass is done.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's soon.
Yep.
So
you guys got that
15th.
to look forward to also.
Yep.
I don't think I'm going to get a draft box this time. They're super limited. I think they're really pushing for stores to not sell draft packs over the counter because they're super throttling the number of draft boxes you can get. So I don't think that I'm going to be able to get my hands on a draft box to open, but I will get a set box and a collector box.
Okay.
So I'll do a pre-release build like I normally do also. I should mention, I don't know if we've mentioned this on the show or not, but we're going back to seeded boosters for this pre-release.
Oh, we are?
Yeah, so when you get a pre-release kit, you get to pick which college, and there'll be there'll be 5 booster packs, and then a seeded booster from whatever college you pick.
Gotcha.
So yeah, you guys, why don't you go over to our Discord channel and let me know which college box you want me to open up? I know which one I want to open, but if you guys have a different idea, let me know which one you want to see, because I'm pretty sure I can't swing opening all 5.
That's fine. I mean, he wants to open Golgari, the Golgari one, Witherbloom.
It's not Golgari. Yeah, it's Witherbloom.
It's Golgari. They're graveyard centric. They're just The red-white one definitely doesn't feel Boros. It's got, like,
Right.
based on the spoilers, it's kind of crazy, but unless something wild happens, Witherbloom feels very Golgari.
It's just going to be more Golgari.
It's going to be more Golgari, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, maybe. Liliana's not making zombies, though, so
She is
who
not.
knows?
She is filling the graveyard, though.
She is.
And letting you storm off.
Yes. Have you heard about the new combo that's getting ready to break EDH?
I heard about the one that's going to break Legacy, and the stupid Onslaught uncommon is $15 now.
Well, yeah, that's the same one that's going to break EDH, but yeah, Legacy too, huh?
Yeah, like, because there's a 2-mana guy that does the same thing.
Yeah, the Golgari one.
Yeah, so, real quick, is it Chain of Smog?
It is Chain of Smog.
It's 1 in a black, target player discards 2 cards, and then they can copy the spell.
Yep.
So what you do is there is this, effectively the guild mage for the college. I don't know, the college mascot. It's like a green black 2/2. Each college has one. And this one has Magecraft. And
yeah, it's a Witherbloom apprentice.
Yeah, if you cast or copy a spell, your opponent loses 1 and you gain 1.
Yep.
So you can cast Chain of Smog, targeting yourself, discard 2 cards, and then just keep copying it and targeting yourself, and drain them out. So, like, on turn 3, you could just have it all and win the game on the spot.
I mean, kind of. It's also kind of awkward because you get, like, super punished by a counterspell. Because then you just lose your hand and they take 3 damage.
Oh, they counter the second one?
Or the third one or whatever. Like, wait until you have no cards in your hand and then counter it.
Like, this is very true. This is very true. Yeah, you are, like, super all in. I don't think it's good enough just for that reason.
Yeah.
That, like, you can't just, like, go all in.
Right.
Though, I don't know, like, are you on the, like, Thoughtseize Unmask plan?
Probably.
And you're just like, all right, my hand's going to be, I'm going to rip your hand apart, and then on the go turn, it's just going to be this Chain of Smog and a prayer.
Yep.
So, anyway, so that's for another week to get into all this craziness.
Probably next week.
This week, we're talking about the Mystical Archive.
Yeah.
And so what is the Mystical Archive?
The Mystical Archive is 60-something, 63 spells, I think. They're instants and sorceries from Magic's past. They're supposed to be like iconic, powerful spells that are, I guess, lore-wise, they're contained in like the massive library in Strixhaven. And these are just a small portion of the spells in this library. Supposedly every spell in the multiverse is housed in this library.
Gotcha.
So in the game, every booster pack is going to contain at least one of these. So every draft booster, you're going to get one. Every set booster, you're going to get at least one. I'm not sure if you can get more than one. And every collector booster, you're going to get at least 3, I believe. There's 2 different... Oh, go ahead.
So these are going to be relatively available.
Yeah, way more than like you would normally think for something like this. Okay. They're gonna be more common than like the if you were opening just Japanese boosters of War of the Spark, these are going to be more common than Japanese Planeswalkers.
Okay.
Does that make sense the way I said that?
I think.
Because when you're opening War of the Spark, like Japanese War of the Spark, you have the chance to get one of the alt art walkers.
Yeah.
Whereas you're always going to get one of these.
Yeah. Okay. So there's not going to be $1,000 one, more than likely.
I mean, some of the Japanese ones maybe. They're really pretty, and like the foils, I can imagine being very expensive. And that was the next thing I was going to say. Is there's also Japanese only variants that are like very like traditional Japanese artwork, and like the card frame is templated differently. Like the card name goes down the side, like instead of across.
Yeah, they are Very, very, very nice. They didn't take any risks with the art on the Japanese ones. They took some
Yeah,
risks on the English ones.
we'll get there.
We'll get there. But yeah, they
Um,
took some risks.
yeah, like personally, I don't like foreign cards, and I wish I did because some of these are absolutely gorgeous, but I like to be able to read my cards when I draw them,
Yeah.
and it would just really bother me to not be able to read the cards. So I probably won't be getting any of these, and I'll probably be getting rid of any that I pull.
Are the Japanese ones in the English packs?
They're in the English collector boosters.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I think you're guaranteed one in each collector booster.
Yeah. Again, if you're gonna buy these, like not release weekend, like wait a week or two, because then there's gonna be way more. Because there's gonna be the initial hype of I gotta get these, and then people are gonna realize that, oh my god, there's so many of these.
Yeah.
So I would pump the brakes. So it's 60 something cards that are gonna be in every pack, and so they ended up on Arena because that's the only way you can reproduce the exact draft format from paper is for these cards to be on Arena because there's going to be one every pack.
Right. So they're going to be in like the packs that you open for draft to preserve the draft environment. And I believe they said they're also going to show up randomly in the like prize packs on Arena also. I don't think I guess randomly isn't the right word, but I don't think you're going to open one in every pack.
Yeah. It's a little awkward that there are 7 of them that are currently already banned on Arena. And so while they're trying to reproduce the draft environment, there's definitely going to be people that if they were in paper, they would take the Swords to Plowshares because you have to. Because it's the best limited card, but might not take it in the Arena draft because they can only play it
for
in that draft. Yeah, are they going to like? I guess they're not going to reimburse you for them because like they're going to say you could play it in like Historic Brawl or some garbage.
Nope.
So like
you can't play it there either.
Oh, you can't play it there either?
Yeah, no.
Okay, nope. So like
you just can't play it.
So like are you gonna get? They're not gonna. I can't imagine them reimbursing you.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna reimburse you. I'm not sure what they do.
Like here's your 20 gems because you opened a card you can't actually play on the client.
I'm not even sure they're gonna give you the 20 gems.
That's what I mean. Like that's what I meant by like reimbursement is like it might just be if you take this card you get to play it for this draft. I hope it raises your win percentage by enough to make up for the fact that like you basically took a blank from your pack, like a literal blank. And if you're only doing like 3 or 4 drafts to like help build your collection, it's hard to just take a blank.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, like if you're like me who gets up on like draft like 30, like I could probably handle taking a blank. Like it's not too dissimilar to like taking your your 5th of a really good uncommon.
Yeah.
But it still kind of stinks that you're just like, oh, I might not get anything for this. Like vault progression on like a rare is negligible.
Right.
So
like one more thing on this topic is that these do have a rarity. There's uncommons, rares, and mythics. All of the uncommons are cards that already exist on Arena, like Divine Gambit or Defiant Strike. They're already cards that are on the client and you probably already have in your collection. Everything else is either a rare or a mythic. So with these 60-something cards, like this mystical archive is supposed to be taking the spot of the like showcase cards for this set. All of the sets where we've had showcase cards, they've been like duplicates of cards in packs. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So like
all
on
of
Arena,
these
it was
are
just a skin.
Right. All of these are outside of the set. And because all of the new cards are either rares or mythics, they basically jammed a whole bunch extra rares and mythics in this set. So if you wanted Teferi's Protection and Ephemerate, you would need 4 mythics for Teferi's protection, and 4 rare wild cards for Ephemerate.
Yeah, this is kind of, in an arena sense, just a way to separate people from their wild cards.
Yes, they are certainly going to strip wild cards out of accounts.
Yeah, I mean, there's really no getting around that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just kind of awkward.
It is. So, what are the 7 cards that are banned? Do you know that off the top of your head?
Dark Ritual, Demonic Tutor, Lightning Bolt, Swords to Plowshares,
Counterspell, Natural Order.
Oh, a Natural Order. Yep.
And then there's one more that I can't think of right now.
Tainted Pact is banned for Brawl.
Yes. But there's one more that's banned that's banned for everything. Forget what it is. But yeah, so there's 7 that we
channel. Yep.
Come on, let me channel Ulamog some people. Like, come on. They hate fun.
Turn 1
hate fun.
Yeah. Or turn 2, I guess. Turn 2, Ulamog, Ugin, go.
I mean, we literally have a deck that is turn 2 some percentage of the time Ulamog or Ugin on turn 2. So I don't know. Seems like channel's in that same ballpark.
Yeah.
You have to have both pieces in your hand instead of just one and a 0. All right, so we're not going to go through all of the cards. We are going to go through some of them and let you know what they are, what we think of them, express our confusion about why they exist.
Yep.
All of these things.
Yeah.
So first up is Day of Judgment. It's basically Wrath of God, except for it's destroy all creatures as opposed to like bury and they can't regenerate.
Right.
Right.
So it's just more Wrath of God. I really don't think this does anything because like White already has plenty of Wraths.
I think the only thing is if you were playing Shatter the Sky, like you don't play Shatter the Sky anymore.
Yeah, you just play this instead.
Yeah, if you were on some like weird mix of like 3 Wrath of Gods, 2 Shatter the Skies, and 2 Doob Scars or something, you're just like Shatter the Sky out, Day of Judgment in.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's just like the better Shatter the Sky.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we called it. What is next up here?
Well, we collectively, like us and our listeners, called it. It's Ephemerate. So thank you to Actually Just Thor.
Okay,
they called it. Yeah.
Hey, last time you told me it was actually just Thor, and now you made it actually. You said actually just Thor.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't think there's think it's just Thor.
All right, cool. I was like, did you trick me last time?
No, I don't think so.
All right, so Ephemerate. We talked about it last week.
Mm-hmm.
If there is any chance of a blink deck, Ephemerate will make it happen.
Definitely.
Right, the card is kind of silly, and will do things.
2 blinks for the low cost of 1 mana and a card.
Yeah, so it should be. If that deck can be good, Ephemerate will help it be good.
Yeah. This next one's kind of interesting. Gift of Estates. I don't even know where this card is from.
I have no idea. Must be like a commander product.
It might be. It's 1 and a white for a sorcery, and it says if an opponent controls more lands than you, search your library for up to 3 plains cards, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle. So it's kind of like a one-shot land tax.
Yeah.
But it gets any plains. So it can get cycling lands, triomes, shock lands, anything that's a plains.
Yeah, is this effect even good?
I don't know. Like, a hard control deck never wants to miss its land drop, right?
Yeah. But, like, I guess the turn, when you draw this on turn 8, and you have, like, 2 more lands in your opponent, and it just does literal nothing.
Nothing. Yeah, that's true.
It's no good. I was watching Saffron Olive talk about these cards, and he was like, oh, this is probably for, like, Historic Brawl. Like, 1, an unsupported format, and 2, the card's still not good. It's not like you're playing against, like, 3 other people.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's just like, oh, I drew this on turn 10.
Yeah. I guess
I
it
guess it
does
doesn't do
nothing.
anything. Yeah.
It's worse than drawing a land.
Yes. At least I could cycle the cycling land if I drew it.
Right.
So yeah, I like it seems like it's probably a commander card,
Maybe, but
and
we don't have commander.
I know, which makes it really awkward for you to like get it in your pack.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's in the mystical archive for commander, but I don't think it has a home in arena really.
Yeah. Not sure. Strange.
Okay, you and I have very different thoughts on Mana Tithe.
Oh, okay. I kind of thought that like Force Spike maybe just doesn't do anything. And evidently you think that it does do something.
I think it annoys me. It's
Okay.
the main thing it's going to do. But I mean, think about like the control decks and like the times that they're able to get you a sensor. Like they just eat your 2-drop.
Well, right, but Censor has the fail case of turning into something else. Like
This
Censor
is
doesn't do anything on turn 5.
this is true. I think that like in a like white weenie kind of strategy where, you know, your Mana Tithe is like your like sweeper protection. Where you're like, okay, if they try to sweep me on turn 4, I Mana Tithe them and get like another turn.
Yeah.
And just like in the times where the deck is playing it and they shouldn't be playing it, and then you get annihilated.
Then you get blown out. Yeah.
Yeah, you're just like, whatever. Like this deck's not a Mana Tithe deck, and you play your 3-drop and it gets Mana Tithe, and you're just like,
Yeah.
concede game, right? You're just like, no, I'm not dealing with this.
Yeah,
Or
I mean,
like,
I guess it'd be pretty awkward to like hold mana up for a company and then pass the turn and like your opponent do something and then you go company on their end step and they're like Mana Tithe you.
yeah, like the number of times your opponent like shocks in their 3rd land with their Llanowar Elf, and you're like, this is 1,000% a collected company, and you're like playing against like white green like angels or some crap, and you're like company, and they're like Mana Tithe, and you're like, well, can I just concede? Like you can't get to that gear button fast enough.
Yeah.
So like that's just gonna be like another one of those cards. Like, I lost a game to Cloud Shift, like the one white like blink like bad ephemerate, and I was because they in combat they were like blinked their oh gosh, Skyclave Apparition, and I was just like, yeah, didn't even know that card was in the format, and it was like because I was like, what can they do for 1 mana? I was like, oh, annihilate me. And so, like, I feel like Mana Tithe is just going to be one of those cards where, like, you're going to forget about it. And you're going to be like, oh, this white weenie idiot can't do anything. I want to, like, win this turn. And then you're just like, oh, I guess I lost. Great.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I guess we approached that card from different angles. Like, you approached it from, I'm going to get blown out by this and it serves no good purpose. And I approached it from, it serves no good purpose, so you shouldn't even bother putting it in your deck.
yes. But,
like, I don't think that the card, like, I'm not arguing that, like, people aren't going to play the card. I just don't think you should.
I 100% agree. I don't think you should.
Yeah.
But that makes the blowouts 10 times worse.
Yes.
Saffron Olive just did a video where he played some like bad white deck because it played 4 Mana Tithes. And just was like, spent the whole time being like, I love Mana Tithe, let's Mana Tithe this person, and just kept Mana Tithing people. One of his opponents was like, I was not expecting to get Mana Tithed. And then like the next game was like, it's gross that I have to play around Mana Tithe every turn. And like that's just gonna be historic, is like, oh man, this white player, do I have to play around Mana Tithe this whole game? So that's all. Like I'm just like it's probably not a card I'm going to play, but it's a card that's going to like, you know, the times it's cast against me, it's probably going to have 100% win rate. I'm just going to be like, well,
I guess like in a deck that what was that card you just said? The bad ephemerate?
Like Cloud Shift.
Yeah. Like in a deck that runs, you know, a bunch of ephemerates and cloud shifts and skyclave apparitions and stuff, like maybe I could see a case for a Mana Tithe there, like in that deck, where you're holding up mana to interact with your opponent. But I really don't think most decks are going to want this, or it's going to be bad in the majority of decks. Like a control deck doesn't want this.
No, I 100% agree. But again, that makes the blowouts even worse. When you're like, why do they even have that card? So, okay. So, yeah. I just look at Mana Time as just all the heartbreak it will cause me. Like, even if it shouldn't be there, it's going to cause me heartbreak.
I understand.
All right. The next card, again, is one of those cards that got shook out of the box, and I have no idea why it's here.
Yeah, my notes for this card are really, this is weird.
So it's Teferi's Protection, 2 and a white instant.
Yeah.
Phase out you, all of your permanents.
I'm out.
Yeah, so like your opponent alpha strikes and you're like, Teferi's Protection.
I'll see you next turn.
Yeah. You die the following turn if they were going to kill you that turn unless you like drew something or had the answer in your hand already.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is like a weird like fog.
I wonder if Teferi's Protection is here to protect against storm.
It could be like your storm, like your opponent storming off and you're just like, haha.
I'm out.
I'm out. Again, I think this is a card that we can't look at is this here for Arena? Because I don't think it is. I think it's Teferi's Protection was like $80 or something. Maybe not that much, right? So they needed to put more of it because it's just from one Commander product.
I think it got a reprint in Mystery Booster, I think.
Okay. But it's still pretty expensive.
Yeah.
And so this is a way to give like more supply / let Commander players like bling out their deck.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I think it's here for Commander players as opposed to actually them feeling like it has like a function in Historic.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Which is my biggest problem with the Mystical Archives in Historic is I don't think they looked at any of these cards and said, what is their function in Historic?
Yeah, this will be good for the format.
Yeah, I think they were just like, YOLO.
Yeah.
Blue Sun Zenith?
This is another really weird one. Like, I don't know what purpose this serves. We already have Sphinx's Rev, right?
That no one plays.
Yeah, and we have better Blue Sun Zenith with Gadwick, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same casting cost, and you get a 3/3, and you get to like tap your opponent's stuff.
Yeah, so Blue Sun Zenith for everyone is X blue 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 for an instant, right?
Yeah.
Instant? Okay.
It's an instant.
Where target player draws X, and then you shuffle Blue Sun Zenith back into your deck.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's just a card that we have better versions of, or like kind of takes on, that are mildly to not playable.
Right.
So, I don't know what it's here doing.
Yeah, I really couldn't tell you. Like I said, any Historic deck that I can picture that wants Blue Sun Zenith is going to run either Rev because you're like a hard blue-white control deck, or it's going to run Gadwick because you want the body and the tapper.
Yeah, you're like some blue tempo deck, and you're like, I just want to draw 2 cards and then tap 2 creatures the following turn and win.
Yeah.
Right? Like the fact that, instant speed, draw 2 cards, you're like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. I can do that with, any of the other spells in the format. Glimmer of Genius or whatever.
Yeah. Speaking of blue draw spells.
Yeah.
We got Brainstorm. The art is sick. Unlike
the
both versions.
Sick. Yeah.
So instant for a blue, draw 3, put 2 back on top.
Yep. Best cantrip in the game.
Yeah, this is the glue that holds Legacy together.
Like, it's arguably the reason that Legacy exists.
Yeah, or Legacy in its like current state.
Yeah.
Like without Brainstorm, Legacy isn't like, I don't know, 50% blue decks.
Right.
Right? So the draw 3, put 2 back might sound bad, but if you put back 2 bad cards and then you shuffle with a fetch land, now you've kind of turned your Brainstorm into an Ancestral. Right?
Most of an Ancestral, yeah.
Yeah, when you put your 2 cards back, you're hoping that you're just putting back zeros.
Right.
And so it kind of just serves as you got 3 new cards because you put back 2 cards that were stone 0.
Right.
The thing that holds it back is lack of access to good fetch lands.
Yeah, we have like conditional ones. which obviously aren't as good as actual fetch lands.
Yeah.
But like Fable Passage already sees a ton of play in just about every deck, so it's kind of like that's fine. I don't think we really have to talk about that.
Yeah.
But what I was thinking is like Brainstorm is so good in the decks that want it that I think even like Evolving Wilds would probably like you'd want to play Evolving Wilds.
Yeah,
I think it takes Evolving Wilds from being like a bad land to just kind of an inconvenience for the power that it gives your deck.
like I don't know if you go to like a full 4 Evolving Wilds. Maybe you play like 2, so you have 6 shuffle effects. Mm-hmm. And you might have other shuffle effects in your deck where you might search or something.
Yeah, I was just trying to think if there was anything else that like shuffled or
you could cultivate.
Like even Scry. Yeah, cultivate.
Like something that would be really good would be like Ash Barrens.
Oh yeah, that lets you cycle.
Yeah, but basic land cycling. So you're just like, okay, I'll go get a land and that'll shuffle.
Is that in the format?
I don't think it is, but I'm not 100% sure. I think Ash Barrens was a mystery booster, but not jumpstart.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not 100% sure. There was a card that we were like, it should be in the format. Oh, Mara Ridgery. And then I played against elves, and they played a Mara Ridgery on turn 3. And I was like, oh, I guess Mara Ridgery is on Arena.
Yeah.
Oops.
No, Ash Barrens is not historic legal.
Okay. But something like that where you have some other like reasonable shuffle effect. Like I could see like 4 Fabled Passage, 4 Ash Barrens. Like that would be like, I'd be okay with that. I'd just say like Evolving Wilds is a little too low down on power. I don't know if you can take like an A and a D and get like a B out of it.
Well, like how many fetch land does a Legacy deck run though? Like a Brainstorm deck in Legacy runs 8-12 fetch lands.
8 to 12, yeah.
So like that's kind of the number you're shooting for, I think. So I don't think 6 is quite going to cut it. Like the downside with Brainstorm is you end up, they call it Brainstorm locking yourself, where after you cast it, you're just stuck with 2 bad cards on the top of your deck. Yeah, and you've got to get through them before you can start playing again.
Yeah, so like the thing you don't want to do is keep a 1-lander with a Brainstorm.
Right.
Because if you don't get your second land, you just know you're not doing anything for the first 2 or 3 turns of the game.
Yeah.
Also, no matter how many fetch lands you're playing, you do want to be in a situation where if you, let's say, later in the game, you don't need a land off Evolving Wilds, you just keep that land on the battlefield.
Right.
So that if you draw your Brainstorm later on, you have a shuffle effect.
Right. I was just going to say, the other thing that I was kind of thinking, like, I didn't plan it out, I was just thinking about it right now, is that if we're kind of limited on our shuffle effects, is there anything that's playable that's like Scry? Oh, like what about the Blue Castle?
The Blue Castle.
It's just Scry 2?
Yeah, they just
you
like you
draw
can bottom
3,
both.
Put 2 on top and then bottom them both, yeah.
I was thinking like opt, if there was like one card you wanted and one you didn't, you could put the card you don't want on top and then opt, bottom it, and then draw the other one.
Yeah. I don't know. Like do we have the payoff? Like we don't have a Delver that wants you to just play all cantrips though, right?
I mean,
it's different in Legacy where you're playing, 4 Brainstorms, 4 Ponders, and then, a bunch of Pyromancers and
I mean, we have
Delvers and stuff.
We have Young Pyromancer. We have they're all 2 mana. Young Pyromancer. What's his name? Sprite Dragon. Stormwing Entity. Like that's a deck.
Yeah.
So, like, there are things that, like, want you to play, like, a cantrippy game where you're putting cards in your graveyard, if you played Magmatic Channeler.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That's true.
So there are things that, like, support this type of gameplay, but they're not, like, 1 mana. You don't have the, like, Delver into, Brainstorm, flip my Delver.
Right.
You have more, I'm going to play a 2 mana thing that's going to pay me off for now casting 3 spells on my 3rd turn.
Yeah.
So, no, I think it's a card that definitely is going to get built around and should, and people aren't going to realize how powerful it is.
Yeah, like unless you've spent some time playing Legacy, I don't think you understand how powerful Brainstorm is.
Yeah, and like you are going to have to like learn how to play it where, like, where normally you'd be like, I'm going to thin my deck and crack my fetch on turn 3. You're like, no.
Yeah.
You might draw a brainstorm. Keep that fetch.
Yeah.
Right? And
Well,
also,
I mean, it's also kind of like what we were talking about last week with Cabal Therapy. Like, you have to play the game differently when you're playing those cards in your deck. Like, it really rewards you from having mastery over how to play that card.
Yeah. So, it'll be good for people to learn it. People are going to make a lot of mistakes. You're going to get a lot of free wins on the, like, turn 1 brainstorm. They don't hit their second land. And they just, like, snap concede because they're like, oh, I guess I'm not going to do anything till turn 3.
Yeah.
All right. So, Counterspell is too good, but how do you feel about Time Walk?
I love me some Time Walk.
Memory Lapse is pretty close to Time Walk.
It's most of Time Walk.
So, Memory Lapse? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, Memory Lapse is 1 and a blue for an instant. Counter target spell. If the spell is countered this way, put it on top of its owner's library.
They don't get a choice.
Right. It's better than Remand, right?
I don't know. Maybe. I think it's a question of, like, let's say you're twin, God rest your soul, right? And you're trying to find a combo piece.
That's true. If you're trying to dig through your deck.
Yeah, maybe Remand is better. Or, like, if you don't have your third land drop, Remand gives you an extra bite at getting your third land drop.
Yeah.
But, I mean, in terms of, like, if you're a control deck and you just want to, like, hamper your opponent's development.
And draw some cards. Like, if you have a card draw a spell and a Memory Lapse, where, like, you have, 4 mana up or whatever, and you're going to cantrip and Memory Lapse. Like, you need to refresh your hand, so you want to cantrip, but you also have that card that you want to take care of. So you don't want to spend all your mana on a counter spell. You Memory Lapse, then you cast your cantrip or whatever.
I mean, like, play patterns that we're seeing now is, like, turn 2, I'm going to foretell Behold the Multiverse. Turn 3, I'm going to have up my Absorb or my Saw It Coming. Right? Now, turn 4, you could have up Memory Lapse and be able to cast Behold the Multiverse from Foretell. Right? So, like, that's your turn 4 is you eat your opponent's turn 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And their next draw step.
Yeah. Now, if you remember, how long ago was it that we were talking about tempo?
A while. About a couple months.
Yeah. So if you remember back to that episode, everything that we outlined there is why Memory Lapse is good. Yes. You're eating up your opponent's mana for the turn. Hopefully you're gaining a mana advantage because you're only spending 2 mana to take care of, a 3 or 4 mana spell that your opponent cast. And then you're also taking away their next draw step because they have to redraw the card that they just tried to cast.
It's really good. Like, it's not better than Counterspell because if it's a card that just says win the game, you have to have an answer to it next turn.
Right.
But in a lot of ways, it's better than Counterspell. It's easier to cast. It's not a permanent answer to the thing, but it also, like, eats a draw step.
Right.
And, it's really good.
It's really good.
I think a lot of the sensors that are floating around control decks are going to be memory lapses, and some of the, like, should have saw it comings, where, like, they're trying to build their own 2-mana counterspell.
Yeah, they're just going to play this instead.
Yeah, they're going to just have a 2-mana counterspell, where, like, they're just like, I just need to get to turn 5 so I can, like, slam my Teferi, or, like, that turn 5 Teferi plus untap 2 lands memory lapse you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this card is very good.
Yeah. It's not modern legal, right?
No. It's like from Homelands?
I don't think so. Yeah, it was they reprinted it in a core set too, I think.
Okay. But like the original printing
was 7th edition or whatever.
Yeah, the original printing was like Homelands, I think.
Yeah, yep.
So
crazy that they included it here.
Yeah. Lightning Bolt, too good. Time Walk, fine.
Yep, no problems.
Tesserit's Gambit, they keep trying to make this card be a card that people will play. And it's not a card people will play. Like they put it in like Modern Masters sometimes.
Yeah.
And just like, this card isn't good enough.
The only reason that I wanted to talk about it is because it has Phyrexian mana in the cost.
Yeah.
Which, like, no other card on Arena does, right?
Yeah, so it's 3 in a Phyrexian blue. So you can play 3 in a blue or play 3 in 2 life for it. It's an instant that is draw to proliferate.
Yep.
So, like, every color gets divination now.
It does.
But it's just not a card that has, like, consistently seen play.
Yeah.
And, like, if you don't get anything out of the proliferate, if you're a blue deck, you just play, like, whatever divination variant you have at, like, 3 mana, if that's effect you really want. And, like, I don't feel like red decks are going to be putting this in there and them so they can spend 3 mana to draw 2 cards.
Yeah, probably not.
And, like, green, I don't know if we have it on here, has Harmonize.
I did not include that one. We can talk about it now if you want to.
Yeah, but, like, if you're green and you want 4 mana draw 2, you just play Harmonize.
Yeah. Right.
So I don't know why this card's here.
I'm not sure either. I just thought it was weird that it had Phyrexian mana on the mana cost.
Yeah, like, well, I will say that this stuff, like, this set is, there's a lot of things that you felt like, well, maybe they can't do on Arena that apparently can 100% do.
Yep.
So give me more formats.
That's right.
Let's do the Time Warp again is next.
Yeah, like Simic needs another Time Walk, right?
Yeah, like, hey, I'm going to, like, play my Sultai Ultimatum. I guess I'm 100% to take an extra turn.
Yeah.
Because you get
Alron's Epiphany and Time Warp.
Yeah, and then I guess I'll just also get my Kiora Best of Sea God. So, all right, would you like me to take 2 straight turns? Or would you like me to take a turn and have an 8/8?
Right. Hexproof. Then tap your stuff.
Yeah. I guess I'll have you. It's like, I don't know. They're all bad options.
Yep.
Like, so this is 5 mana, and as we have found, 5 mana is trivial to get to in Modern Magic.
Yep.
Right? Like, so, like, this could bring back, like, the, like, Nexusy Turbo Fog decks.
Oh, I didn't even think of that because they got 8 Time Walks now.
You have 8 Time Walks. One of them gives you 2/1/1, so there's your win condition.
Right. Yeah.
Time Warp doesn't exile itself.
Oh,
so,
I didn't even catch that. You are correct.
So Tamiyo can get it back. So you can go, like, Tamiyo plus, and then the next turn, if you have a Time Warp in your hand, you're just like, Time Warp, down tick Tamiyo, get Time Warp.
Whew.
Next turn, cast Time Warp.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we also have Regrowth.
Oh, yeah.
Which gets back Time Warp.
Yeah. I didn't think anything of that card either, so I didn't include it on the list.
Like, it's not great, but, like, if it's buying you back Time Warps.
Yeah.
Because it has the old templating that doesn't exile itself.
Yuck.
Yeah, so, but that's fine. That's fine. Lightning Bolt, too good.
Lightning Bolt's too good.
But, like, Turbo Fog, or, like, Bant Turbo Fog, where you're like, oh, I guess I can Teferi's my protections myself as another fog.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, woohoo. Crux of Fate?
Yeah, I wasn't sure. Like, I don't know what space this is supposed to be playing in. Like, Black already has some cards that are, like, close to a Hard Wrath, but this is basically just a Hard Wrath for Black.
Yes,
it's 3 black, and then you either destroy all dragons or destroy all non-dragons.
So my thought is there are, like, Black controls decks that are playing, like, Shadow's Verdict.
Mm-hmm.
And this kind of slots into that because it gets everything.
Yeah, except Shadow's Verdict also exiles Croxus.
It does. It does. And, like, it can also be, like, in, like, the... It's a little hard to cast, but in the, like, mono black, like, Forsaken Monument decks.
Yeah.
Right? Where this could take some of the space from Extinction Event. It is harder to cast because it's black, but it does get more than an Extinction Event.
Like, I mean, Black already has, like you said, Extinction Event and Shadow's Verdict, and Languish is already in there.
Ritual of Soot.
Ritual of Soot, yeah.
So, yeah, it might not have a place because it's too big.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're playing like some kind of weird Black Dragons deck where you just want to kill everything but your dragons, which is also kind of strange.
Yeah. Next up is Dies to Doomblade.
Or just Doomblade.
Just Doomblade.
I don't even know if this sees play.
I don't think it does.
Like, we already have so many Doomblade variants. It's going to be interesting for deck building, like when you sit down to build your black deck, to decide what combination of all of these Doomblade variants you want in your deck. Because we have Eliminate, Cast Down, Heartless Act. Now we have Doomblade. Like, obviously, you can't run 4 of all of them. So, like, what's your breakdown?
Yeah, like, I think Doomblade is the most restrictive.
Especially since a lot of the threats that you want to kill, from my experience in this format, are black.
Yeah. Right? Like, Doomblade is just, like, worse than Heartless Act.
Right.
Because there's hardly anything that has +1/+1 counters.
Right.
Right? Like, it's, in a lot of ways, like, the restriction on it is probably more restrictive than the restriction on Cast Down.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't know. Again, I think it's like, like, the saying is Dies to Doomblade.
Yeah,
I guess
iconic.
It's iconic. We should put it in there. I mean, it's almost as iconic as Defiant Strike.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. Next up is a card that makes me feel like they have no plan for Historic. And
it makes me feel like they want me to play my modern deck in Historic.
Yes. So, Inquisition of Kozilek. Black. Look at target opponent or target player's hand? Probably target player.
I think it's opponent.
Okay. And
I'm pretty sure you can't discard yourself. Oh, no, it's target player.
Okay. And you can choose a card that has CMC 3, a non-land card with CMC 3 or less, and they discard it.
Yep.
So, I don't know. In most cases, like, 85% of a Thoughtseize?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, it's...
like, Modern Jund plays a play set of Inquisitions and then some number of Thoughtseize on top of it.
Yeah.
So normally you make up your, like, 6 to 7 discard spells in your main deck with, like, 4 Inquisition and then like 2 or 3 Thoughtseize. Sometimes you go like 3 and 3, but it depends on the meta. But typically the skew leans towards Inquisition instead of Thoughtseize.
Yeah. So we established last week or the week before that we thought that like a black-based hand description Death Shadow deck was probably, some version of that is probably the best deck in Historic. Yeah. Now, granted, there's also like the Black-Red Pyromancer deck with Dreadhorde Arcanist, and then there's Jund Sack. All these Black-Red decks are like at the top of the format.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just like, yo, you want Inquisition? You want to be even further ahead of everyone else?
We'll give it to you.
Yeah, here it is. So, like, on the pre-show, I was just saying, like, I feel like you just are like 4 Thoughtseize, 4 Inquisition, 4 Death Shadow, 4 Dreadhorde Arcanist, 4 Young Pyromancers, 4 Fatal Pushes, like 3 Croxas, and like, I don't know, put in a handful of other cards that you may want to like dress up the edges with. And
like
that's
4 cards we're going to talk about in a couple cards.
Yeah. And like that's just a deck.
Yeah. A good deck.
Yes. Like one of the better decks in the format. Because, you know, they don't get any more Dreadhorde Arcanists, but, right, they get more discard spells for the turn 1
discard spell, turn 2 Arcanist, swing, discard you. Yeah. Yeah,
like the game where you get double Thoughtseize, you just are like, oh man, I'm losing. Well, now they just have twice as many cards that you get Inquisition you on turn 1, and I'll take your 2-drop. Now I'll Thoughtseize you, and I'll take your 4-drop. And I have a removal spell for your 3-drop. This has been fun.
Yeah.
And you're just like...
Wrap it up.
Yeah, I guess I'm done here. So, like, there's going to be a lot of that. If you're a combo player like me, they've kind of shadow banned combo. Because, like, if...
I mean, with all this cheap interaction, yeah.
Yeah, like, already the format was having, like, 50% Thoughtseize decks.
Yeah.
Well, now all those Thoughtseize decks are going to be packing Inquisitions. Mm-hmm. And it might push the percentage of Thougtseize decks higher.
Yeah.
Because...
And... you have to play around Mana Tithe now.
You do. Oh my god. It's a nightmare. So, next card is a card for our Death Shadow decks that we talked about last week. Or the week before.
Sign in Blood.
Yeah.
I think we talked about this when we did the episode on the Historic Anthology, I think.
Yeah.
How, like, the deck, when I was playing it, kind of needed a way to, like, refill. And how Treacherous Blessing might fill that role. I 100% think Sign in Blood you play over Treacherous Blessing every time.
Yeah, and the upside of Sign in Blood is it lets you put Loris as your companion, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to have Ranger of Eos. You don't have to have Treacherous Blessing that is like breaking like your like going too high up the mana curve. Like Sign in Blood lets you like keep Loris in the sideboard. So just.
You know what else Sign in Blood does?
What else does it do?
It targets your opponent for the last 2 points of damage.
It does. Would you like 2 cards that you can't use because you're dead?
Yeah.
I guess. Thanks. Yeah.
I have totally done that before.
Yes. So this card, again, will see play.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have Tainted Pact, which is weird. And
very strange.
Maybe not playable. It's 1 on the black for an instant, right?
Yep. It's an instant.
You reveal a card. And you
exile the top card of your library.
And you can go, I don't want this.
Yep.
And then you can exile the next card.
Yep.
And you can keep doing that until you say, I want this card, or until you reveal 2 cards that have the same name.
Right.
So, like, if your top 2 cards are, like, swamps, and you're like, I don't want a swamp, and then you, like, flip over another swamp, you just exile 2 swamps. Yep. And has spent 2 mana to do nothing.
Right.
Effectively. But it could be like, hey, I'm playing some crazy singleton deck, and Thassa's Oracle triggers on the stack. I guess I'm going to name Abandon Hope, and just, or like I'm just going to like say no to everything and then win the game.
Yeah, you don't have to name anything.
You don't have to name anything, Yeah, you just look at it.
So you're playing 60-card singleton with Lutri as your companion?
Oh, yeah, we're going deep. 1 Brainstorm, 1 Thassa's Oracle. Yeah, let's go. No, I don't think this card's playable. It's just weird that it's there. And they immediately banned it in Brawl.
Historic Brawl, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, where's the one place you would play this? Historic Brawl. Can't let you have it. Sorry.
Well, I mean, you can't play this in like you just win. You just win every time because you're a singleton deck.
Yeah. And you get to go look for whatever cards you need. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, hey, we're gonna put this on your client. It's gonna be in your packs. And what can I do with it? Literal nothing.
Yeah,
awesome.
Actual
Thanks,
nothing.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Yeah. I mean, this was a card that needed a reprint anyway, so this was probably more for the Commander nerds than for Arena. But we're talking about Arena.
Yeah. So these next 3 cards, they're of different colors, but we put them all together because they are all storm cards that win you the game.
Yep.
In some way, shape, or form. There's another storm card in the set, Weather the Storm, Ching, that doesn't win you the game. Does not
win you the game.
Right. So storm is you cast a spell, there's a trigger, and you make a copy of the spell for each other spell that was cast this turn, regardless of who cast it.
Right.
So there's Tendrils of Agony, which is
it's 2 black, and it has Storm, and it drains 2, I think, right?
Yep. Well, that's the name, right?
Tendrils of Agony?
Yeah, how many drills do you need to kill someone? 10.
Oh, I never knew that.
I don't know if that's how they named it, but you need 10 drills.
Yeah.
To kill someone. Yeah, so it deals 2. So it deals 2, you gain 2. Yeah. So a lot of people are talking about it probably goes into some sort of like Bolas, a Citadel deck,
Mm-hmm.
where you're just ripping cards off the top of your deck, paying life, and then you're like, oh, I've cast 5 spells this turn. Tendrils of Agony, I'll 10 you.
Yeah, refill, keep going.
Keep going, yeah.
Yep.
Next up is Grape Shot.
Yeah, I think this one, at least this deck looks closer to like the traditional Storm deck than the Tendrils deck probably does.
Yeah.
But Grape Shot's a sorcery, 1 in a red, and it deals 1 damage to any target and has Storm.
So there's probably 2 things you can do with it in Historic.
Mm-hmm.
One is you play Steamkin.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other is you play Burgee.
Or you play them both.
You play them both.
You play them both in the same deck.
Yeah, but like you're playing those cards as your ways to generate mana.
Yep.
And then you're playing like all the 1 mana like cantrips. You're like Crash Through, Warlord's Fury.
Yeah.
And you're just
Is
trying.
there 8 or 12? There might be 12.
There might be 12. But you're just trying to generate as much storm count as possible and then grape shotting someone. Mm-hmm. Now you need 20 to get someone with grape shot.
Well, that's the joke, right? It's grape.
It's grape? Okay, that one I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. You're just making stuff up. Okay, good.
Yeah, I was just making stuff up there.
All right. So it's harder because we don't have rituals. So this is the win condition in Modern Storm.
Mm-hmm. I don't like rituals add to your storm count, which like is how the Modern Storm deck wins. But if you have Steamkin and Burgee, I don't know that you need the rituals because like all of your spells are rituals.
Yeah, or at least they're all Gitaxian probes, right? They're all 0 mana draw card.
Yeah.
And like you just have to like not hit like 3 lands.
Right.
But like it does make things like, you know, that those kind of decks would play like Cathartic Reunion or Thrill of Possibility because you're like, oh, I hit 2 lands. Mm-hmm. I've got to try to get through these lands to get more spells to keep my storm count up.
Yep.
Right? It seems like a deck that like through no interaction could win on turn 4.
Oh, yeah.
Where you're like Steamkin, Burgee, and then you're just like
go
and you know, have some ways to get through pockets of lands, mm-hmm. and then you just like do the thing. Mm-hmm. So again, weird. And for those of you who just only played on Arena, there are people who like they just storm. So
yes.
If these cards are like close to close, people will storm.
Yes. Storm players are a special breed.
They are just gonna storm. So like they will see play, but like are they like tier 3 that people are hoping to get to tier 2? Or are they like secretly like awesome? We will find out because people will try to make them work.
I won't.
Yeah. We're normal people.
Somebody else will.
Somebody will. Other people's.
I will concede.
Yes. So the next one is banned in Legacy, and that's Mind's Desire.
Yeah. When I looked at this, I did not see a problem, but evidently some other people have thought it was a problem.
On the game podcast, Brian Gottlieb just kept going like, why is this here? I don't understand. Nothing good can come of this card. Like, at some point, it could break, so why are you even bothering to put it in?
So, what is Mind's Desire? That's not like a super popular, household name, if you will.
It is 4 blue for a sorcery that says, shuffle your deck, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card without paying its mana cost. So it lets you play a land, like you can hit your land drop off of it, and it has Storm. Mm-hmm. So you storm off, and then the hope is that you like spin into something huge. Now, I don't know if it's banned in Legacy because it's just like mechanically awful, where you're like, hey, storm off, shuffle, 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 reveal a card, shuffle, 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 reveal a card, right? Or if it's banned because it's like just absurd.
I didn't even think of that because you have to shuffle for each copy.
For each copy. So you have 10 copies. Yeah. It's 10 shuffles. So
Yeah,
I don't know if
that's
it's because people were just spinning into Emeralds, or
every damn shuffle.
or it's because they had to shuffle 15 times every time they stormed off.
Yeah.
Right.
The
So
the only way I can see this getting super degenerate is because like it can hit copies of itself, which then are like astronomical.
yeah. Oh, we do have a ritual though.
Iron Crag.
No, the stupid common, the Tybalt's whatever,
Oh,
where you can
open
only
open the omen paths.
yeah, where it's like you make 3 mana of like any 2 colors.
4 mana, but I think you can only use it for creatures.
But yeah, it just seems like the storm cards don't make any sense to be here. Right? Either they're going to be bad and people are going to be separated from their wild cards, which I guess might be why they're here.
Yeah.
Or they're good and it's just misery.
Right.
Right? There's not like an in between. Because the problem with Storm, right? If I'm playing Neo Storm, right?
Mhm.
Right? If I like play and I play the and I have it going, you can just concede because like it's deterministic. Right? There
Right.
is like a really small chance that like maybe I don't have the haste creature in my deck,
Right.
but that I've somehow drawn them both. But like you can be pretty sure that like the game's ending on that turn.
Right.
Your opponent can like storm, and you can be at 20, and they can, get their grape shot to 18,
Yeah.
and then you're not dead.
Yeah.
Right, so-
That is my problem with Storm as a deck.
Right?
And
So like
I think anybody that knows me knows my feelings about Storm.
yeah, but like so like it's like you can concede, but like you're like there's a pretty high chance that they might not kill you.
Yeah, there's a fail rate, a real fail rate.
Yeah, and especially when you don't have the Manamorphoses of the world,
Yeah.
there's a really big fail rate.
Yeah.
So, we talked about Grape Shot and how Steamkin and Burgee kind of makes that go. We have to get through some land pockets at some point.
You do.
How about Faithless Looting?
I have no idea what Wizards is thinking here.
So, this is a red for draw 2, discard 2.
Yep.
And then for 2 and a red, you can flash it back.
Yep.
So, this is Red Brainstorm, which doesn't feel that way, but that's how it got banned in Modern. Was people realized after like 6 or 7 years that, oh, if I just discard cards I don't want, this card's really good. Or if I have cards I want to have in my graveyard, it was Lingering Souls, but now it's, See Croxa.
Yeah.
Right? This card is just really, really, really good. So
Really?
in that like black-red deck we were talking about, it's just the glue that like when you draw 2 lands in the late game that turns those 2 lands into 2 real cards.
Yeah, so like Thoughtseize was the best card in Historic, and then we just told you that we got 4 more Thoughtseizes in the form of Inquisitions. I think Faithless Looting may be the new best card in the format.
It might be. It is definitely a card that, on one hand, so I'm a defender of Faithless Looting, right? Because it enables like degenerate combo stuff, which I like, but it also like people were all upset because like, oh, like blue red Phoenix in Modern was too good, and it was like, but that's like the fairest deck,
right?
You could like play against. That's like what you wanted Modern to be.
Yeah.
Right? And it enabled some like fair decks as well, being like the brainstorm of the format. So like if you ever hear Jerry T talk about Mardu Pyromancer, it was a young Pyromancer with Faithless Looting and Lingering Souls as the cards you wanted to discard. To brainstorm to Faithless Looting, and it just was a way for you to get card advantage and for you to get rid of bad cards, and like made you have to work for it, kind of like brainstorm makes you work for it.
it was card advantage you had to work for. That was going to be what I said. Because if you look at it, it's card disadvantage.
Yeah.
You're spending a card and a mana for card selection, but no card quantity. Like you're going down a card to do it. So you have to like construct your deck and adjust your game plan in such a way that whatever you're putting into the graveyard, you're going to get some use out of later.
Right. So if you watch the video of the of that like Grixis 4-color like Storm Herald deck, right? I think we said when we were filming it, like, this deck needs a Faithless Looting. Because, like, I don't want any of those enchantments. Just throw them in the graveyard. Give me more stuff to do, like, on turn 1. Right? And, like, Faithless Looting's great in a deck like that because you're like, I have things that I need to be in my graveyard. But it's also good in, like, a fair deck. Where you're like, oh, man, I can keep this hand that is, like, a Faithless Looting and 4 lands. Because I could, like, Thought Seize you, and then turn 2, I can Faithless Looting away some lands, and, like, get a new hand. And now I have fuel for my Kroxa, and all this other stuff. Or, like, you put your Kroxa in the graveyard. This card is going to enable the red-black, like, Arcanist decks to be better. It might make the Hollow One decks real.
Yeah, I mean, Hollow One might be an actual card now.
Yeah, as opposed to just, like, nothing.
Well, I mean, in Historic Anthology, we got the Flameblade Adept.
Yeah, so maybe this was, like, their big plan. Well, we're going to put in Faithless Looting.
Yeah.
Like we said, the Burgee Storm decks, like Phoenix, like, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be happy to, like, opt into, like, Brainstorm, then Faithless Looting away the top 2 cards.
Well, I mean, I think you can almost play the mono red Phoenix deck.
Probably
like you lose some of the explosiveness because you don't have Monastery Swiftspear, but you get Ox. Like Ox can serve as your Bedlam Reveler.
You get Ox. You also have like as your Flameblade Adept can kind of be your
close to
your
get
guy.
The Gitu Lava Runner.
Yeah, like I think you have a blue red Phoenix, a mono red Phoenix deck. I think that the worry is that after a few months, people are gonna like start complaining that like we should ban Faithless Looting.
Yeah,
and it might not be because of the like degenerate combo decks. It might be because like everyone's sick of playing against like Thoughtseize, Inquisition, Kroxa, Faithless Looting.
Oh, I won't. I'm gonna play that deck until I take it away from me.
Oh, I know, but what I'm saying is like you're gonna love it, but there's gonna be a lot of people that are like, all I play against is Blood Crypt.
Yeah, but they're probably Storm players, so that's fine.
That's fine. Okay. But my point being is that it could be a problem.
Yeah. No, I understand that 100%. Like we just rattled off like 6 decks that like actively want Faithless Looting and probably either already are or aren't very far from tier 1 anyway.
Yeah. Now, quick aside, the art on this card, I've
tried to not say anything bad.
So, what I will say,
nice.
The same artist did Harmonize.
The Harmonize
in the set. That card looks. I think the problem is this artist has a very specific style, which is they take like photos, I think, and then like of people or photorealistic like people, and then they do like art over top of them. And so it is their style. Magic knew what they were getting when they asked for this. And I think just because the character is in the foreground, right? It's so jarring, like the body versus like the rest of the art.
Yeah.
Right? Like you have this like real person and then like this kind of like lower detail, like kind of like simple shapes around them, and it just looks off. So like I
don't know if you saw today on Twitter, this artist actually posted that I guess they weren't digital, like they did these as full paintings for Faithless Looting and Harmonize, and the full painting for Faithless Looting looks significantly better.
And it might just be because it's like zoomed in on the face and it just looks off. Like, it's probably one of
Yeah.
those things. It might be something kind of like the Uncanny Valley,
Yeah.
where we like know what a person's supposed to look like, and like what the world around a like person is supposed to look like, and we have like a person,
Right.
and then the things around it don't match up with what we expect. That we're just like,
Right.
Like, I wish the art was more pleasing to me, because like I would have bought these,
Yeah.
but I'm kind of like, oh, like I don't know, like if they feel super good.
Well, lucky for you, there is a version of this card with much better artwork.
With letters and words I can't read.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you know what Faithless Looting does, though, right?
Oh yeah, I like all I did to like find it in the sheet of cards was I didn't look. I just looked for the card that had 2 in a red in the rules text, and I was like,
Yeah.
that's
There
that
it
says,
is.
That says flashback.
Yeah, that's the one.
So on. Next up is Stone Rain.
Yeah, this is really strange, right?
I think it's kind of unplayable, and I think it falls in that like iconic
Yeah.
level. But just like Storm players gonna storm, 100%, there's gonna be someone that's like cleansing wildfire you, stone rain you, play a 4-man, a creeping mold you.
Field of Ruin.
Yeah, that's just gonna like try to make
Order.
it so you have like no resources.
Right.
Right. Okay, cool. It's going to like work one every like 10 games, and it's gonna be against me, and I'm gonna be like, but for the most part, like I don't think it has like a big impact. Now, if they like gave a Stone Rain and like Pillage,
Yeah.
or Stone Rain and Molten Rain, then those 2 cards, then you have a stew going,
Yeah.
right? Where you're like Lana War Elf into Stone Rain you
Every game.
every game. Like they're just like, I have to Lana War Elf, Stone Gilded Goose, Stone Rain you. Gilded Goose pillage you. But the fact that there's only one, there's not that critical mass of 3 mana blow up your land effects.
Yeah.
So I think it's fine until like the next Mystical Archive, or like, you know, Jump Moonwalk start or something, and then they're like, here's Pillage and Molten Rain, and you're like,
Oh,
But I think
no.
it's fine.
Yeah. I just thought it was really weird because, like, Wizards has said we're not printing Stone Rain anymore. Like,
Wizards-
Stone Rain is not a fun card. It's not something that we want in our sets. But here, you can have it on Arena.
Yeah. They also name the scale of cards that they don't want to print the Storm scale. And they put 4 Storm cards in this set.
Yeah.
So I don't understand. Like every so often we get like wing shards in like Modern Horizons. And it'd just be like, oh, this card's like not good. It's like unplayable. And now they're just like, hey, you want Tendrils of Agony? And you're like, cool, I guess I can make it work.
Yeah.
Next up, we have the weirdest card in the set. Not for its text, but for the time in which it is here.
It's from the future.
We got our very first Modern Horizons 2 spoiler.
We did. The card is Abundant Harvest. It's a green mana for a sorcery. Choose land or non-land. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a card of the chosen kind. Put that card in your hand and the rest in the bottom in a random order. So I think Abundance is the card, right? 4 in the
Yes.
green for an enchantment that does this same thing.
Yes.
How good is Abundant Harvest?
I don't know.
I don't
think,
know either.
Like, I heard it described as like a green cantrip, and it is.
Kind of.
But, right, I think it's great when you keep a 1 land hand.
Mhm.
And you're like, I have to hit my second land.
Mhm.
And I think it's like, I think it's great if you're like flooded out. Right? You're like, oh, I kept a 4 land hand. I know this is action. But
Yeah.
I don't know, in that like in between space, like, you know, when you have 3 lands, like, am I supposed to name like spell? Am I supposed to name land? Right, the fact that you have to make the decision on the front side,
Right.
where like a ponder, you have to look at the cards and go like, okay, which one of these do I want? Do I want any of these? I can try again. Like you make the decision up front. Though I guess like there are times where like you ponder and you're like, I have to shuffle any three that doesn't have a land.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
How close is this to Once Upon a Time? Like, I understand Once Upon a Time was broken because it was just free, but this is kind of Once Upon a Time. Like, when you cast Once Upon a Time, you were either looking for a land or action. It was
Yes.
because whatever your opening hand was either was lacking a land or was lacking some action. And this does that for half the cost if you're casting it, but
I think the bigger thing is like the fact that you got to look at 5. Right? Because like if your first creature was a questing beast and you didn't have a 2-drop, right? You wouldn't have wanted to keep the questing beast.
Right.
You would have wanted to take the 2-drop out of that pile.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that like you don't have the same selection, where it's just like action, not action, right, makes it a little bit worse.
I mean, obviously, I don't just want it to be Once Upon a Time because Once Upon a Time is banned in everything but Legacy, I think.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm fine with not having Once Upon a Time. Like, how close is this to Once Upon a Time? Look, I think that's the best comparison. This isn't really like Oath of Nissa, and that's like the other card you think of when you think green cantrip.
Like, I was going to say it might be closer to Oath of Nissa.
Yeah.
Right? Just because, like, when you cast your Oath of Nissa, it's like, I need a land?
Mm-hmm.
I hope there's a land in my top 3. This, like, you're guaranteed a land.
Yeah.
I think this also lets you do, like, sneaky stuff. Right? Like, okay, I'm going to play Oops with a Russian foil Taiga. This lets me get my Russian foil Taiga every time. And then digs me to other stuff later on.
Yeah, I don't know how that would work, though. Like, what benefit do you get out of that, though?
I don't know. The fact that, like, you can just, like, go through and, like, find the one land in your deck.
Yeah.
Could be advantageous. I don't know. Also, like, pairs well with a Brainstorm. Right? If you put 2 lands on top, and then you say non-land, right? You just put them on the bottom, and you get a non-land. So that could be like a thing, kind of like the Opt example before.
Yeah.
Or like if there are 2 non-lands, you're just like, well, I'm going to say land to get rid of these 2 bad cards, and we'll start fresh. I don't know. It's interesting, but I don't know. I think the thing that really made Once Upon a Time broken was the free aspect. I think at 2 mana, that card is not fine, but closer to fine.
Yeah.
Right? But at free, like, 70% of the time that it gets cast is a problem.
Yeah.
Like, if it was 2 mana and looked at 4, it's probably not banned. But because it's 0 mana and looks at 5, it's a little too good.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we talked about this last week. You called it Primal Command.
Yeah, it's the command that I think is fine, unlike Cryptic.
Yes. Yes. It'll see play in, like, the green ramp decks.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Go get your finisher, time walk your opponent. Seems like a good thing for 5 mana.
Yeah, I mean, I know we were just kind of ragging on Stone Rain a minute ago, but some of the pawns and decks play Primal Command to put their land drop on top of their library.
Yeah, it's extra Stone Rain.
Yeah.
And then Lightning Helix.
Yeah, weird random, right? Red and a white for an instant deals 3 damage to any target and you gain 3 life.
It's funny, like, we had the split card, and it was like 4 mana for that side of the split card. If there can be, like, a red-white, like, Boros aggressive deck, like, this card goes in it.
Oh, 100%.
In Modern, for the longest time, like, the burn decks were Boros.
Yep.
For Lightning Helix.
Well, and
a lot of time.
Rest in Peace out of the sideboard.
Yeah, and Rest in Peace. But a lot of times they were red-white, so they had access to Lightning Helix. So, yeah, this card will probably see play. It could also, like, help prop up, let's say, like, a Jeskai Control type archetype, where your removal spell is Lightning Helix. So, like, you get the Lightning Helix, their Kranko, and you gain 3 life, so that negated their first 2 attacks against goblins or something. I wish I knew what the plan for Historic was. I wish I felt like Wizards knew what the plan for Historic was.
I mean, that's the same gripe that we like just
we keep having, yeah. But it just feels like, his Historic Anthologies was just like, here's some random cards in a Death Shadow.
Yeah.
And then this is like, here's a bunch of Commander cards and cards that like
are too good for other formats.
Jund players want fancy versions of cards, so we've got to give them a fancy Inquisition of Kozilek because we just gave them a fancy Thoughtseize.
Yeah.
And so we got to put that in here. And then here are some random Storm cards that might work, they might not, but here's some Storm cards. So it just feels like it's just like this total grab bag.
Mm-hmm.
And I just keep going back to the just like Mark Rosewater with a 3,000 count box with every sorcery and instant, just dumping it off the building.
Yeah.
Also,
roll a D63.
Yeah, let's go. So I don't know if you know, there's like a color spokesperson or like color advocate for each color in Magic.
Yeah.
The person who does white was on Dice to Removal, the Tulare Community College podcast.
Yeah.
Like 6 months ago. Talking about like decisions they make for like white cards and like basically they kind of are there to make sure things stay within the color pie and things like that. Mm-hmm. The person who's in charge of black must just be like snapping people's fingers and has like pictures of like everyone cheating on their wives. Because like,
well, I mean, that's fitting for black though, right?
Yeah, black gets everything.
That's right.
I think Inquisition should be in on Arena. Oh, I don't know. And they just pull out a manila envelope,
slide it across the desk.
I said it'd be very unfortunate if these pictures got out, and we can avoid that by putting Inquisition on Arena. And you're just like, yeah, Inquisition's in, guys. We're good. Get a program. Chop chop.
Yeah.
Right. So it just feels like they're like black is so much better than the rest of the colors in Historic.
Yeah, leaps and bounds.
Like black feels like a lot of the colors feel kind of one note.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like the best thing to do in white is like white aggressive like life gain strategies. And then on the other end of the spectrum, control. Right?
I would agree with you, except for in this set specifically. Like if you look at some of this, I know we're not doing actual Strixhaven spoilers, but a lot of the stuff that they spoiled today from Strixhaven, specifically the white cards, kind of feels like they're not white cards.
Yeah, no, they definitely feel like they're
working on it.
Yeah, been sick of hearing the memes about white cards not being good. But I guess what I mean is that like a lot of colors kind of have like one deck.
Yeah.
Right? Like you have mono blue tempo.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have it support role, card advantage role in a control deck.
Yeah.
Red, you have like burn and like prowessy kind of stuff.
Right.
And maybe some combo things, but mainly like if you think red deck, you're thinking like burn decks, Fisching and Pyromancer things.
Red deck wins.
Yeah. Green is like super duper rampy. And like
green kind of does a little bit of everything nowadays.
It does. Like I guess there is like kind of a green, like I guess there's elves.
Yep.
And then there's like the green ramp decks, which kind of like be mono green, like Planeswalker style with Nissa and Karn. But like black, it just feels like, do you want to play a control deck? Black's got you. Do you want to play like a controlling mid-range deck? We got you. Want to play a controlling like a more aggressive deck? Oh, we got you. You want to play a sacrifice?
Aggro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Disruptive aggro. Do you want to play like a fiddly, like a lot of triggers, like creature combo deck? Yeah. We got you. And it's just like black seems like it has this wide range of stuff because it has all the cheap interaction that like supports all of these things, and everyone else is just like like they're just in the corner like eating paint, like, hey, can I have lightning bolt? And they're just like, no, that's too good. But he got Thoughtseize in Inquisition. It's like, take your shock and like it.
And Death Shadow.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, but I took the shock, but the Dreadhorde Arcanist had 3 toughness, and I got thought seized again. It didn't help
And they
me.
took the shock.
They took the shock, and then they played a young pyromancer, and it's just like yeah, like lightning bolt actually like solves real problems in the format,
Yeah.
right? It solves the Dreadhorde Arcanist problem.
Mm-hmm.
It solves the Mayhem Devil problem.
Yep.
Now it might spawn other problems in that the Dreadhorde Arcanist deck and the Mayhem Devil deck both will then play lightning bolt.
Play it.
Right? But like it's like, oh, like we can kind of like you can for 1 mana interact with these problematic creatures. And it's like, well, for 1 mana if you want to interact with Dreadhorde Arcanist, you better play black. It's like, but I wanted to play black for Thoughtseize and Inquisition. Okay, I guess I'll play more black cards. Yeah, it's weird. Like I said, I feel like it's on Arena deck list. They said this is not how I would like curate a format if I started from scratch. And I think Jerry T was like, that's what they did. They started from scratch, and this is what they came up with.
Right.
And like, I don't know what they've come up with. You know what I mean? Like, it just seems like it's just every few months we just get like some random cards from Magic's history / whatever the new set they think can separate people from their wild cards is.
Yeah.
And then that's the format.
So I was thinking about this a little bit, like since we've had all these Mystical Archive cards, and I don't know if they're actually trying to curate anything, or if they're just trying to like just let it be Legacy, because that's kind of Legacy's thing. Is they're like for the most part just hands off. Like the format is what it is. It's every card with few exceptions. You guys just go do your thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It gets a lot less attention from like the banned and restricted announcements than the rest of the formats do. And I think they want something on Arena that is going to turn into Legacy at some point for Arena, where you can just play, you know, whatever we feel like we're going to try and sell on Arena. Here's a thing where you can use those cards later.
Yeah, I guess it's weird that they're not trying to balance anything, seemingly. Yeah. And the things that they're choosing to like ban and like balance don't make sense with the things they're letting in. So like, okay, Legacy's really heavy blue because over the years we didn't know we were going to have this format, and we printed Brainstorm, and then we printed Ponder, and we never intended them to be in the same format.
Yeah,
right.
And Force of Will.
And Force of right. But in Historic, they could take a second and go, hey, you know what? Let's not make it so Inquisition is legal since we gave them Thoughtseize. That just skews the format too heavy to black. Or let's give them Swords to Plowshares to like take care of these giant Death Shadows that they're going to have. Right? Oh, that makes sense. We can do that. And it just seems like they just aren't. It's just like,
well, I mean, maybe that's something they could do in the future, though. When everybody's kneeling to our Death Shadow overlords, they're just like, unban swords instead of banning something out of Death Shadow.
Like, haha, swords. I guess the thing that is particularly just frustrating is that while Legacy is a format that they're hands off on because like there aren't really Legacy events. And Legacy players really only complain if things are like thoroughly atrociously broken.
Yeah.
Right? Historic, there are a ton of people playing Historic.
Yeah.
And Historic is like their flagship or one of their flagship formats, right?
Especially right now since nobody can play in paper.
Right? Like we just did the Kaldheim Championship and we played Historic and Standard.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, if the Historic format gets wonky, then you're just having to watch, you know, the same matchup over and over and over again. Or, you know, Thoughtseize is driven, you know, Thoughtseize Inquisition has driven 4 decks out of the format.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, you can't play this deck because it requires you to have A and B to be good, right? And people love watching Jund mirrors to a point, right? Like someone like you or someone who's really enfranchised, right? They're like, oh, there's all these decisions. This Jund matchup is like super intricate, but like, we just said that like some of the cards that are on Arena are there because they're like splashy,
Right.
Right. It's not splashy. Thoughtseize into Inquisition into Thoughtseize. Like that's like, yeah, I'm gonna Thoughtseize you. Okay, cool. You can keep your 1-drop. Okay, cool. Next turn, Inquisition you, and Fatal Push your 1-drop. Go. Like it's just like, oh, no one has anything.
Yeah.
Now, we've said before that like the Jund style of Magic has a hard time working now because a lot of cards are like 8-for-1s.
Right.
Right. But a lot of the ones that are like historic playable that are like that efficient are like gone. Like the Uros, Omnaths of the world are just gone now.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. But I do feel like it is going to be like Death Shadow all the time.
Probably.
So,
I mean, is a world where the best deck has 8 1-mana discard spells, efficient threats, and Faithless Looting for selection, is that a world where Oko's okay?
No.
Still no?
Oko wasn't okay in Legacy.
Oh, that's true, and it had all those things.
It had all those things.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, cool. You did some stuff. Here's my Death Shadow. Yeah, it's a 3/3 dog. Cool. So you did 8 damage to yourself? Awesome. I'm making a 3/3. Ooh, I upgraded it. Yeah, I know. Now it doesn't matter.
It's an elk.
It's an elk now. So.
I guess my point was more like, do you think with all the powerful cards that are getting put into the format, do you think that the format will get to a place where they can kind of revisit some of the banned cards?
They could.
It's okay now?
They could. Like, I don't think that Oko... Well, no, Oko's still legal in... No, Oko's banned in Legacy and Uro's still legal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't think Oko's good anywhere. I think that Uro's too far, like, outside the range of what you could have in... Teferi is just thoroughly unfun.
Yeah.
Omnath, probably not. I don't know. Like, I think that some of the stuff could come off the ban list, like Agent of Treachery. Like, that could probably come off. Because, like, that's kind of an A plus B deck.
Yeah.
Right? And, like, you're not going to put A and B together.
You really want Agent of Treacheries in your Ephemerate deck, though?
Fair. Like, Ephemerate could make that bad. So, that's our thoughts on what's coming into Historic from the Mystical Archives. You guys gave us a bunch of topics, and we can't talk about all of them now. We are excited to talk about some and revisit some stuff we talked about before. There's requests for Legacy talk, which I'm always in for. And we're going to get to those. We're going to get through like the new set coming out and all that stuff, but once we get to kind of like the lull of the new set when we're all like familiar with all the cards, we'll revisit this stuff for you.
Yeah, we'll revisit.
So
it'll be a couple weeks, but we'll get there.
Yeah, so if you have any more ideas, you can tweet at us at CasualTryPod.
Yep, you can hit us up on Facebook at CasualTryHardMTG. You can always drop us an email, show@CasualTryHardMTG.com. Don't forget, if you're looking to pick up any singles or pre-order stuff from either the Mystical Archive or from Strixhaven, please use our TCG Player affiliate link, tcg.casualtryhardmtg.com. As long as you navigate to TCG Player using that address, anything you purchase after that will get a small percentage of to help keep the show going. If you want to support us a little bit more directly, you can do so at patreon.com/casualtryhardmtg. And don't forget to jump in our Discord. That's where we came up with the ideas that I guess we're not going to talk about yet, but some of the show ideas that we talked about over this weekend. I kind of ran past Brian, and Brian was very excited to give his thoughts on such topics. So
I have some ideas to fix some things.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure you do.
Yes. Again,
and everybody will hear about them in a couple weeks.
Yeah. Mark Rosewater, you can send the check preemptively to.
chemically large novelty check.
Exactly. Like, you can wear a mask and deliver it to my door. That's fine.
Yeah.
Publisher's clearinghouse style. Like 3 people know what that is, and everyone else is like, what is that? Who is this Ed McMahon you speak of?
Yeah, I guess I don't really know what our demographic is.
I don't know either.
I don't think does Podbean have that information? I doubt it, right?
I doubt it, yeah. Yeah, so. Anyway.
Well, let us know if you know who Ed McMahon is.
All right, so with that, we will catch you on the internet.
Catch you on the internet.